but we're gonna we're gonna we're gonna start over. So um, for those of you who are gonna join us for the replay, so we're having some technical difficulties, so we're just going with the flow, and we're just gonna post this replay on the Facebook page for you. So excited to have Stephanie join us today. Stephanie is from Engage Home Therapy, and met Stephanie a few months ago when we found we had very common ground on our joint mission, really, and that's to keep seniors in their homes, aging in place. You know, for us at Beyond Home Care, we say in the comfort and safety of your own home, and you've come right into that with keeping people safe in their home. And so I think this is an awesome way to introduce you to our audience, as well as bring your knowledge to our to Tallapoosa County, to all the area that we serve. So start off a little bit, Stephanie, and just tell us about Engage Home Therapy, the business that you started, and kind of what the mission for that is.
Okay. So I serve older adults 65 plus in Elmore and Tallapoosa counties, and my main focus is to help people increase their abilities and their safety so that they can remain in their home for as long as possible. I have certified aging in place specialist, and so that really gives me the knowledge to know what people will need to be able to stay in their homes. And anyone can be a certified aging in place specialist, but me as an occupational therapist, you know, kind of gives me the extra expertise to know what, you know, based on what sort of diseases or disorders that someone has, what they may need later as their disease progresses. I also have the certified dementia practitioner, which enables me to really educate caregivers on how to, you know, take care of their family members who may have dementia, and also be able to engage those clients who have dementia with activities that will be meaningful for them.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So today is our first in a 4-part series that we're doing all about aging in place. And we're going to really focus on fall prevention today. So fall prevention is huge. I think that, you know, tell me if I'm wrong, but falls are one of the main reasons that people worry about staying in their home, about aging in place. I mean, how serious is fall prevention for us?
It's very serious. I did want to just start with a few statistics just to kind of demonstrate what a big problem it is. And most of these statistics are from the CDC's STEADY program, which is a really good fall prevention program. And STEADY stands for Stopping Elderly Accidents, Deaths, and Injuries. And more than 1 out of 4 older adults falls every year. More than 3 million emergency room visits are older adults who are going to the emergency room due to an injury from a fall.
Wow.
Here. 1 out of 5 falls causes a serious injury in an older adult. And they are the leading cause of injury-related deaths in older adults. And in fact, every 20 minutes, an older adult falls due to an injury. That dies due to an injury related to a fall. So that's pretty staggering to me.
It is. It's very staggering. I can imagine that, you know, being unsteady on your feet or worrying about falling is a very uncomfortable place to be, because you know, we take for granted normal movement in our day-to-day lives, but when you can't function in that normal movement, then just your day-to-day becomes very scary. So tell us more about falls. What other things do we need to know about falls?
Okay. Well, how about the results of falls? We know they can result in broken bones, and typically in older adults, it's back fractures, breaking your hip, shoulder or wrist, and even facial fractures. See that a lot in older adults. Head injuries that can range anywhere from being a mild head injury to a devastating head injury. And of course, like we mentioned, they can result in death.
Mm-hmm.
But falls can also, just make it harder for you to do your everyday activities that you want to do or need to do. And some falls, don't result in any injuries, but they can make you fear falling again.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, you become less active, you get weaker, your balance decreases, and then you're at more risk of falling.
That's so interesting because I have a client that we just took on and did an assessment this last week, and his main concern is falling. And so he has not gotten in the shower in probably a few years because he's so worried about falling in that shower. And I asked him, well, is that a goal? Is that something we should really work towards? Because I can imagine that would improve your quality of life. And he was like, oh, if I could get a hot shower, that would be everything. Yeah. And there are things that we can do for that. I know that I'm leading into later on in our series, but just knowing that is such a concern for our aging population is really important. Tell us about some of those indicators for falls.
Well, there's lots of things, but just to mention a few. For one thing, if you have fallen before, once you fall, you double your risk of falling again. If you've fallen, well, first of all, just getting older. Right. As we get older, we have a risk of falling. If, of course, anybody who's been advised to use a walker or a cane for safety is at a high risk of falling. Anybody who tends to need to use furniture or kitchen counters or walls to kind of steady themselves as they walk through their house, that's a big indicator. Anybody who has a fear of falling, studies have suggested that people who have a fear of falling tend to fall. Mm-hmm. If you have to use your hands to push up from a chair into standing, that's a risk of falling because that's an indicator that your leg muscles are weak. As well as, say, stepping up onto a curb. If you have difficulty with that, that's an indicator that your leg muscles are weak and will put you at higher fall risk.
Okay. Yeah, I worry about my clients when I do an assessment and I say, so tell me how you get up out of this chair, or tell me how you get off the toilet. We're just simple, everyday, what we call ADLs, right? Activities of daily living. And when they say, well, I got to push against this wall and pull against this, and then I lean over here, and that's when all the red flags go off, and I'm just like, warning bells. We definitely need to do something differently. And I know for a lot of people that's really normal, and that's just how they have they've acclimated, right? But
it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to acclimate, and it's not as safe if we just make do, because that's when we really come into contact with those risks. So how do we reduce the hazards? How do we prevent those falls from happening?
Okay, well, I'm going to give you 5 easy ways that you can reduce your fall risk. And the first thing is to, like, if you've had a fall or you feel like you could fall or you feel unsteady, let your physician know. Your physician or your pharmacist can look at your medications and see you may have some medications that cause dizziness or drowsiness and that kind of thing. And your physician can also look at see if you have some sort of health condition that can increase your fall risk. Things like osteoporosis, low blood pressure, even depression can make someone at an increased fall risk.
Yeah, if you have followed Beyond Home Care for any length of time, you know how much we harp on this medication management part, because more accidents happen because of medication management errors, whether it's we've taken too much of something, or we've mixed a medication with something else that we're not supposed to, or once we start to get dizzy or lightheaded and we become a fall risk, then we add those blood thinners to our medications, and even more risk, in that category. So, medication management is one of those super simple things that we can do to just cut it off from the beginning.
Yeah.
Having those conversations with your physician, having those conversations with that pharmacist, going to one pharmacist. We talk about that all the time. So that
Very important.
has all of your information and can constantly watch those medications. Not, having a primary care physician that is the quarterback and can take in all of the records and make sure that, the medication you're taking for your blood pressure isn't interacting with what you're taking from your pulmonologist, or, those kind of things are just so important.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And the second thing I wanted to mention is to have your eyes checked every year for obvious reasons. Make sure your contacts or glasses are up to date. The third thing is to wear good fitting shoes. Flip-flops are terrible fall risk. I've fallen with them before myself.
Or socks. Walking around the house in socks.
Yes. Slip-on shoes are better than flip-flops, but they're still not the best. The best kind of shoe has a back on the heel and is not too big and not too small.
Okay.
So you have good fitting shoes. The fourth thing is to stay active.
Mm-hmm.
And, walking is one of the best exercises you can do to address your balance and keep up your leg strength. And, when I mentioned a while ago that standing up out of a chair, if that's difficult without using your arms, that's a big indicator that you have decreased leg strength. And that's just a great exercise you can do in itself. It's just standing up from a chair 10 times, rest, and do it again. That'll help keep up your leg strength, among many other things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fifth thing is to make your home safer. So there's, all kinds of hazards around homes that can make us trip and fall, especially older adults.
Yes.
And we are going to address that next week. We're going to give some specific things that you can do to reduce your hazards in your home, to reduce your fall risk.
Yes, that's awesome. We're going to, next week, we have part 2 of our series, and it's all on home safety. It's August the 11th, Wednesday, again at 12:30. If we have Facebook issues again, we will record and post it. Hopefully we won't.
Hopefully it'll work out.
We'll figure out what the glitch is. But Stephanie, this was great. I really appreciate you taking time to talk with us. So tell us how we can find more about Engage Home Therapy.
You can reach me at 334-659. Oh gosh, let me make sure. 607-7622.
Okay.
Or engagehometherapy.com.
Yes, and there's a little button where you can even request a consult. So that's a great way to get some information. And your web page has everything, lots of good questions and answers.
Yes, lots of information there.
Yes, and we'll put links to all of that in the notes underneath this post so that you guys have that. And you know how to get in touch with us at Beyond Home Care. We've got a website, beyondhomecareal.com. You can call us at the office, 256-414-6090. You can see us on Facebook, on Instagram. So you've got lots of ways to contact us as well. And what I love about working with partners like Stephanie is that multidisciplinary teamwork, because we all kind of have that same goal and we bring different things to the table. And so having good partnerships with occupational therapists, physical therapists, home health aides, your nurses, your physicians, even your pharmacists, so we can all work together and create such better outcomes for our clients.
Yes.
So,
That's
awesome.
what
Well,
it's all about.
that is what it's all about. So thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you, Stephanie. And we will see you next week, hopefully back on Facebook Live.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, Kelly.